flying high. You know how I feel. Sun in the sky. You know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by. You know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life for me. Yeah, it's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world and a bold world for me. Yeah. Stars when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. Oh, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life, it's a new life for me, yeah. And I'm feeling good. Welcome everybody, we are so excited to be here at Ending Violence, Changing Lives, hosted by Haven here at 3S. My name is Marina Altschuler, and this is Tim Goss on the keys. Everybody, Tim Goss. We are so excited to be here. We work together through Dive-In Productions. Please feel free to check us out. We've got a couple more songs for you tonight. As you're watching, I highly encourage you all to donate to Haven. That's what we're here about tonight, is celebrating all of Haven's amazing work. I am going to introduce you guys to a game, if you want to play it at home, that we do play here at Dive-In Productions. Anytime there's an instrumental break and there's just a solid chunk of music where I'm not singing, if you just want to shout to your screen, Tim Goss on the keys, everybody, Tim Goss, then you can play along with us. So that first song was Feeling Good, Nina Simone, and next up we have got Rainbow. When it rains, it pours, but you didn't even notice. It ain't raining anymore. It's hard to breathe when all you know is struggle, staying above the rising waterline. Well, the sky's finally opened, the rain and wind stop blowing, but you're stuck out in the same old storm again. You hold tight to your umbrella. Well, darling, I'm just trying to tell you that there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. If you could see what I see, you'd be blinded by the colors, yellow, red, and orange and green. million others. So tie up the bow, take off your coat, and take a look around. 'Cause the sky's finally open, the rain and wind stop blowing, but you're stuck out in the same old storm again. You hold tight to your umbrella, darling, I'm just trying to tell you that there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. Oh, tie up the bow, take off your coat, and take a look around. Everything is alright now, 'cause the sky's finally open, the rain and wind stop blowing, but you're stuck out in the same old storm again. So let go of your umbrella, 'cause darling, I'm just trying to tell you that there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. Yeah, there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. It'll all be alright. Tim Goss on the keys, everybody. Tim Goss. Let's do this then. Holding your breath is safer than breathing, when letting go is braver than keeping, when innocent words turn to lies, and you can't hide by closing your eyes, when pain is all that they offer, like a kiss from the lips of a monster. You know the famine so well, but never met the feast, when home is the belly of a beast. The ocean is wild and over your head, and the boat beneath you is sinking. Don't leave room for your bags, hope is all that you have. So say the Lord's Prayer twice, hold your babies tight. Surely someone will reach out a hand and show you a safe place to land. Oh, imagine yourself in a building, up in flames, being told to stand still. The window's wide open, this sleep is on faith. You don't know who will catch you, but maybe somebody will. The ocean is wild and over your head, and the boat beneath you is sinking. Don't leave room for your bags, hope is all that you have. So say the Lord's Prayer twice, hold your babies tight. Surely someone will reach out a hand and show you a safe place to land. Be the hands of a hopeful stranger, a little scared but you're strong enough. Be the light in the dark of this danger, till the sun comes up. Be the hands of a hopeful stranger, a little scared but you're strong enough. sun comes up, till the sun comes up. So normally Tim and I are doing a lot of musical theater, so we're going to give a little musical theater shout out right now. This next song is called Hear My Song, and it is from Songs for a New World. Everybody at home, big applause for Tim Goss on the keys at this next one. It is a beast on the piano, and he is an absolute angel. To close, and the days are getting longer, we're not getting any stronger. Trust me, Mama knows. But lie in my arms while you're sleeping, and think of the rivers you've crossed. I'll tell you the dreams I've been keeping for moments like this. Your hope is lost. Hear my song, it'll help you believe in tomorrow. Hear my song, it'll show you the way you can shine. Hear my song, it was made for the times when you don't know where to go. Listen to the song that I sing. You will be fine. And trust me, we'll be fine. Tim Goss, everybody. So we've got 2 more songs for you all tonight. So if you're sitting there thinking, you know what, I've really been enjoying this, and it would only improve my enjoyment if I now donated to Haven, I say, why not? So go do it. All right. This next one is called A Million Dreams, and it is from a great movie called The Greatest Showman. Close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, and it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. Think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build, every room inside is filled with things from far away. Special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take for the world we're gonna make. A little bonus Tim Goss on the keys right there. All right, we have got one more for you. Thank you everybody for joining us. The main event's going to start right after this. This next song and this last one in the set is a really special one. So this next song is Rise Up, and I had the honor of performing it at last year's event. Obviously things look so different right now, but that doesn't mean that we can't celebrate the amazing work that's been done. So again, right before this last song, if you're feeling it, if you're like, wow, Tim, he really covered for you in that last song, Marina, and I would like to give a shout out. No better way to do it than donating. All right, this last song is Rise Up. You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fire walk you down and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet, and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you. We'll rise up, rise like the day. We'll rise up, in spite of the ache. We'll rise 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, rise like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. Thank you, Tim Goss. Thank you, Haven. And let the main event begin.
Good evening. My name is Dave Turlemesian, and I have the absolute honor of being the chair of Haven's Board of Directors. I want to officially welcome you all to our signature event, Ending Violence, Changing Lives. As you can tell, the event is a little different this year, and on behalf of Haven's dedicated staff and Board of Directors, I want to thank you all for joining us. If you were with us earlier, you heard the fantastic music from Marina and Tim. If you're just joining us now, this is the main portion of our program. But it's really important to start by recognizing our sponsors, because without their generosity, we simply wouldn't be here. It's only fitting that I start with 3S Art Space, which is the beautiful studio from which we are streaming this event. 3S Art Space is a 501c3 nonprofit that believes that art has the power to transform individual lives, bridge divergent perspectives, and establish meaningful connections between and across communities. We encourage you to connect with them in person or through their virtual programming to celebrate community, curiosity, and creativity. The gallery here at 3S is free and open to the public for socially distanced events Thursday through Sunday. The current exhibit is called Your Leader Could Be a Tyrant, How to Tell. The artist, Tatana Kellner, describes her work by saying, "I feel compelled to create and present work in order to engender conversation and dialogue. This exhibit features paintings highlighting contemporary tyrants and their odd habits." Learn more at 3sarts.org. Our other generous sponsors are Liberty Mutual, Exeter Hospital, Piscataqua Savings Bank, Great Oak Title Services, Digital Prospectors, J. Clifton Avery Insurance Agency, Meredith Village Savings Bank, the City Beverage Center, Hannaford, and last but certainly not least, Kennebunk Savings Bank.
Kennebunk Savings has been serving the Seacoast community for over 149 years. As a community savings bank, we exist to support our customers and the community. Through our Community Promise program, we pledge to give back 10% of our net income each year to support the local community. In 2019, this resulted in over $1 million being poured back into the local community. On top of that, our 330 employees volunteered close to 11,000 hours in the Seacoast area. We are proud to have supported Haven for the last 5 years. In 2020, this has resulted in over $11,000 in support. $5,000 to sponsor the Ending Violence, Changing Lives event, $1,000 for the Kids Are Our Business educational breakfast series, and $5,000 in a COVID-19 response grant. Here at Kennebunk Savings, it's important to us that everyone in the community feels safe, supported, and informed when it comes to domestic and sexual violence.
Thank you again to all of our sponsors. So like I said before, this is a very different format from prior years. Like many things in our lives over the past 6 months, this event is taking place online or digitally or live streamed, also known as virtually. But what isn't virtual is the effect that this new normal has had on survivors of domestic and sexual violence and stalking. It's a very real effect. It's worth emphasizing that while some of us might have felt trapped in our homes by the stay-at-home order, there are many among us that experienced that trapped feeling for real. There are survivors who no longer benefit from the 8 to 10 hour break from their abuser because that person is now working from home. There are abused children who lost access to trusted adults outside the home because they weren't going to school. And think about how many of our movements were restricted and how predictable our location was. You always knew where to find us, we were always home. Now think about that from the perspective of a stalking survivor. The demand for Haven services have been increasing steadily, but never more dramatically than during the past 6 months. During tonight's program, you're going to hear about how Haven has adapted to meet this challenge. You're going to hear from a brave survivor and 3 life changers that we want to recognize. These people make a difference. Finally, we invite you to help Haven to do our work by donating and bidding. You can donate by text or on Haven's website, and you can bid on the auction items at 32 auctions. The auction will remain open for an hour after this program ends. I now want to introduce Haven's Executive Director, Kathy Beebe. With over 30 years of experience, she has dedicated countless hours to survivors of domestic and sexual violence and stalking, and she's still going strong. Her leadership has been more instrumental now than ever, allowing Haven to strongly adapt to all of the changes that this last year has brought. She is the life changer of all life changers. Kathy Beebe.
Thank you, Dave. Dave mentioned our generous sponsors, but I also want to take a minute to thank our board members. Our board chair, Dave Terlemizian, who's here tonight, our board vice chair, Kim Gibson, who's also going to be speaking tonight, and 10 other community members that dedicate their time, talents, and resources to provide unwavering leadership and continued efforts to sustain our organization, particularly during this difficult time. If we were here in person at one of our regular Ending Violence, Changing Lives events, this would be the time where I would say to all of you, look around the room and find some of those Haven staff members wearing their name badges, and take a moment while you're mingling and talking to them to say thank you for all that you do. This is an incredible team of folks that go above and beyond every single day to support survivors and keep children and adults safe. We can't do that, we can't give a round of applause, but I know they're all tuning in, so if you know any of them, if you're connected virtually, please take that moment to say thank you for all that you do. Some of you tuning in might not know about Haven, so let me tell you a little bit about us. 5 years ago, we merged two smaller organizations, A Safe Place and Sexual Assault Support Services, and rebranded into Haven, becoming the largest domestic violence prevention and support agency here in New Hampshire. We have offices in Portsmouth, in Rochester, and Epping, and we provide services and programs in 48 cities and towns in southeastern New Hampshire. This includes our emergency shelter for those that are fleeing abuse and are in imminent danger, and also includes our Housing First program, where we work with landlords in the community and help individuals and families that aren't in imminent danger to find safe and permanent housing while accessing our support services. Haven is available around the clock every single day to support women, men, youth, and families to heal from abuse and rebuild their lives. We chose our tagline, Ending Violence, Changing Lives, which is the name of our event, because we are equally committed to preventing this from happening and to keep children and adults safe. Haven does this through our Safe Kids Strong Teens prevention program, which we go into schools, kindergarten through 12th grade, and provide our important programming to help kids to be safe from abuse. We also provide professional trainings and community workshops throughout our area as well. Haven is doing a lot. Last year at this event, we took the time to highlight a day in the life of what Haven is doing. And we chose our nautical theme because of all the work that we do to navigate survivors and help them navigate themselves through the tricky healing after being victimized. When we did this, we had everybody write down, we picked one day and we had everybody write down everything that they did, and we compiled it together. And I think we were even surprised at how much we were doing. And although it was only a snippet of the magnitude of the work that Haven does, that day definitely showed the impact that we can have on any given day. Some of the things that came out of that was, on that day, we supported 3 families at the Stratford and Rockingham Child Advocacy Centers. Haven is there to support the non-offending family members when a child has disclosed abuse. On average, we're doing 4 accompaniments to the Child Advocacy Centers every single workday. We also accompanied 3 domestic violence victims to get permanent or temporary restraining protective orders, and that was done at 3 different courts. On any given day, you can find our advocates scattered around because we provide assistance to people getting protective orders at 7 district courts and 2 superior courts in our region. We also provided in-person meetings with survivors at each of our 3 locations, and we answered multiple hotline calls, which average about 12 to 15 calls coming in every single day. That day, our prevention educators split up and had 2 teams. One spent the day with a middle school and one spent the day with the high school, providing important messages of safety and awareness, reaching about 100 kids. Last year, that Safe Kids Strong Teens program reached over 15,000 children and adults. This was all in addition to the outreach activities, our work attending meetings with statewide partners and local agencies, volunteer recruitment efforts, event coordination, and the many other behind-the-scenes administrative tasks that keep Haven going. That day was also a day in the life of Haven before the pandemic. As Dave reminded us, although a challenging time for everyone, the pandemic has resulted in victims of domestic and sexual violence being further isolated and at risk for increased violence and abuse, which is why from the very start of this pandemic, Haven creatively and swiftly adapted programming and services and outreach to be available to those who need us. The next video you're going to see is what a day in the life looks like now during this pandemic and how Haven is helping survivors navigate through new layers of challenges during this extremely difficult time.
This year has been an incredibly challenging one. For so many in our communities, the stay-at-home order that came with the pandemic response was fraught with danger and heightened isolation. Domestic violence increased on the seacoast and across the state. Survivors are not alone, though. Haven is here and has been, helping them navigate to healing in the aftermath of domestic and sexual violence. We shine a light of hope and healing through these dark times. Join us for a glimpse into part of a day in the life of Haven. First thing in the morning, we are opening our 3 offices in Epping, Rochester, and Portsmouth. We will take over the hotline from the overnight volunteers, then begin taking the day's calls and making sure survivors have the support and resources they need to face the new day. The trained confidential advocates will also be responding to text messages from survivors looking for supports. The new Text to Help service has been a great relief for people who are abiding by stay-at-home orders or who have had to quarantine and cannot talk out loud on the phone because their abuser shares a home with them. The text support line is a lifesaver and one of the many ways Haven has been able to adapt to the changing landscape. Our Safe Kids, Strong Teens educators are connecting with school children across the community to teach kids about personal body safety, healthy boundaries, how to identify a trusted adult to turn to when you're feeling hurt, confused, or scared, and if something bad ever does happen, that it's never too late to tell. Advocates are connecting with people impacted by domestic and sexual violence at all times. They will be taking hotline calls and scheduling meetings with clients to prepare for court hearings, guide them through the restraining order process, connect with other social service agencies for resources and supports. We will also be screening new people into our online support groups and connecting others with therapists who have specialties in working with trauma victims. It's always exciting when a survivor is handed the keys to their new apartment by our Haven Housing First specialist. She has been touring potential new rental properties for our clients, meeting with landlords and property managers, securing the best places for survivors who are moving on to the next phases of their lives. Next, an advocate has arrived at the Strafford County Courthouse. She will be meeting a Haven client who, after months of support and safety planning with Haven, was finally able to break free from their abuser. Today, they will face their abuser in court with the support of a Haven advocate. Meanwhile, another advocate arrives at the Strafford County House of Corrections to lead a support group in the therapeutic learning community. Haven has been part of this continuing education for incarcerated women for over a decade, exploring healthy boundaries, healthy relationships, and self-care with women who will soon be re-entering their community. Calls come in with requests for housing and admission into many support groups that Haven is hosting. A call has come in right now to the hotline from a survivor whose perpetrator has violated a restraining order. Over in the Epping office, our executive director is recording messages for donors and grant funders to help get the support Haven needs to continue serving the 48 cities and towns of southern New Hampshire. This afternoon, an advocate arrives at the Strafford County Child Advocacy Center to support a family whose child has been sexually abused. Meanwhile, a call comes in from the Rockingham County Child Advocacy Center asking if Haven can send an advocate over for another child who has suffered abuse. The Rochester office has been reconfigured to allow for in-person private and confidential advocacy meetings while continuing to maintain social distancing during coronavirus response. Over at Wentworth Douglas Hospital, another advocate has arrived at the emergency department to meet a survivor of a violent sexual assault. She will stay with that survivor through the forensic medical exam and outline all of the survivor's options for reporting the crime, following up the next day to check in with that survivor. It's late afternoon and our executive director is back in Portsmouth, logging into a Zoom call with the New Hampshire Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence to discuss funding for new and existing projects and statewide prevention and support initiatives to better serve survivors of violence. Across the hall, we check in with the Director of Business Administration, who is eyeball deep in preparing our annual audit. Haven is meticulous and responsible with every dollar we have to ensure we are able to deliver the best services possible to our communities. Meanwhile, another advocate is walking into the Portsmouth District Court to meet a survivor who will be facing their abuser at a hearing. The advocate has been preparing with the survivor for weeks for this moment. They have put a safety plan in place for after the hearing as well. Throughout the remainder of the dark night, Haven will pick up hotline calls, head to local hospitals to meet with survivors of sexual assault, and be the light in the dark places for victims of domestic violence. At daybreak, as the sun rises up over the Atlantic Ocean, bathing the seacoast in the bright promise of a new day, Haven will continue to shine its light as a beacon of hope.
This year's Day in the Life video spoke to some of the ways that Haven has adapted during the pandemic. In addition, with most schools either remote or doing a hybrid remote and some in person, our education team has been creating innovative virtual programming to ensure that our prevention and safety messages are provided to children who are at home with no respite from abuse. Haven also has been working diligently to help ensure that victims of domestic violence have access to emergency shelter and safe and permanent housing. We've implemented an alternative shelter model to expand our capacity to shelter those in imminent danger and continue to work with landlords in the community to secure permanent housing for victims who are not in imminent danger but still need a place to be while they access support services on their way to self-sufficiency. As the video mentioned, it is extremely rewarding to see the pride and the gratitude that is exuded from a survivor who is now free from abuse and standing in their very own home. Haven was thrilled to get the news a couple weeks ago that we received an award through a federal grant for a 4-year, $625,000 award to specifically expand our Housing First work and ensure that more people have access to secure, safe, permanent housing. We're so excited and can't wait to do even more to keep people safe and in their own homes. Haven is extremely dedicated to our mission, and we will continue to do everything we can to adapt as needed during these ever-changing times. We want to remain that beacon of hope to help those impacted by domestic and sexual violence to navigate their way to safety and healing. I hope that as you continue to watch tonight's program, that you're inspired to share your time, talents, and resources to help Haven to truly end violence and change lives. Next, you're going to hear from Delana. Delana is a survivor of sexual assault who accessed support from Haven and whose life was changed by advocates who are there around the clock to help her navigate through her trauma.
My name is Delana McCarthy, and I'm a survivor. One of the most important things for a survivor is the feeling that they are not alone. And I had that feeling with Haven when I came multiple times, talked to them on numerous occasions, and I was able to do something that was incredibly the most important part, is call them any time that I needed, truly any time. I was having nights where I could not sleep. I would just constantly have these racing thoughts in my head, and I needed someone to talk to. And my friends were asleep. I didn't feel like people understood me very well, and I thought of Haven. And I just pick up the phone, and you can call them right now, and there will be someone on the other end answering your call and just listening to you, offering you that ear that you need, and just assuring you that this is a safe place and you are not alone. I was really struggling when I was going through all of my trauma and digging it up, and I felt like I needed something that I could hold on to, something kind of symbolic and tangible that I could look for to remind me that what I'm going through is going to not end, but I'm going to heal and I'm going to grow from it, and I can leave it behind, and it's not something that's going to be a negative part of me forever. I identified with a snake, and here's why. I looked one day in a jewelry store and I was just looking for inspiration, and I saw this snake bracelet, and I looked at it and I was like, wow, that's really funny. There's something so beautiful about it, but it's something that a lot of people see as a very ugly creature. But the thing was, the snake, to me, I was able to look at it in a way that the snake can shed its skin. And that's what I was doing. I was trying to shed this really ugly part of me that I wanted to let go and heal from and grow from and move on from. A snake can shed its skin, leave it, and now it's got new skin. And I thought of something that I heard, I don't know, probably on Grey's Anatomy. A human can shed all of its skin cells within the course of 7 years, and essentially it's like a new body, I like to think of it as. And I thought to myself, okay, my assault happened on January 1st, 2015, and that was the worst day of my life. I'm approaching, you know, like more anniversaries as we get to the new year, which is a really difficult anniversary for me to have. But on January 1st, 2022 will be 7 years since my assault, and it is going to be, for me, the most celebrated New Year's I could ever have, because I know that even though I'll still have those terrible, terrible memories and probably flashbacks, and these things don't, you know, just naturally go away, but I'm going to feel healed in the way that I will know that this body has now never been touched by my perpetrator. 7 years marks that, and that's something that you can take with you too.
Thank you, Delana, for courageously using your voice to encourage survivors to get the help that they may need and deserve, and letting them know that Haven is always here. Now, I'm going to turn the mic over to our fabulous board vice chair, Kim Gibson, who is going to kick off our Life Changer Awards tonight.
Hi, everybody. Haven created these Life Changer Awards in an effort to showcase that ending violence and changing lives cannot be done alone. There are many incredible people, businesses, and other social services that join Haven in helping people heal from abuse and rebuild their lives. This award highlights exceptional individuals that help further Haven's mission while changing lives along the way. With that, I'd like to introduce Leif Becker, our first life-changing award recipient. Leif is a litigation attorney who owns his own practice in Portsmouth. Although his schedule is busy and his days are long, he seems to find the time and the passion to serve as a pro bono attorney for the Dove Project. The Dove Project provides free and legal representation to qualifying clients at final domestic violence and stalking restraining order hearings. Upon asking staff members for life-changing nominations, our client services team unanimously submitted Leif as somebody who has truly ignited serious change for our survivors. Beyond donating his time and his talents to represent those in need, he interacts with survivors in a trauma-informed and sensitive way. Restraining orders are much more than a piece of paper, and Leif Becker is so much more than just a lawyer. Leif is a life changer.
I have a hard time thinking of myself as a life changer, but certainly the work that Haven does, the work that I and other attorneys do through the Dove Project, I try to impress upon other attorneys that really that this is the most good that you can do through legal service with the least amount of work, because dedicating 3 to 5 hours on a case really could be the difference between someone getting a restraining order or not receiving a restraining order, and that restraining order can really be a life or death difference. So a Dove case is a case that could either be stalking or domestic violence, where someone's seeking a restraining order or a permanent restraining order against someone who's either stalking them or committing some form of abuse. I think that the area of domestic violence is one of the most critical areas to have an attorney, just because it's such an emotional area. There's so much emotion that goes into it, and I find that a lot of Dove clients have suffered some form of abuse that's qualifying under the statute. The statute that we work with is RSA 173B. But oftentimes the things that they're focused on, the things that have hurt them the most, that they might themselves present at a hearing, aren't the things that would help them be successful in getting a final restraining order. So it's helpful to have an attorney to shepherd them through the process. I think it can be incredibly empowering for survivors, because every client that I've met, I've been impressed with how strong they are. I've been impressed with their voice. And I mean, just filing for a restraining order is such a step in a domestic abuse situation that if they're willing to take that step, I think that they can move forward and find some autonomy and move forward with their life. I would just like the community to know that I mean, Haven's here as a resource. It's a great resource. I've been very impressed with Haven's staff. All the advocates I've met are the ultimate professionals. And as a community, I would like the community to know that this isn't an isolated problem. This is a very prevalent problem in our state. And especially victims of stalking and domestic violence having to go to court without advocates, well, without legal advocates. It's a huge problem in our state. I think 5% of individuals seeking a stalking petition are represented by an attorney, and that's horrible. As a community, we really need to destigmatize domestic violence. We need to let people know that it doesn't reflect poorly on a victim that they've been abused, because I think if we do that, we can move forward and more people will seek help. My name's Leif Becker, and I'm a life changer.
And Leif, I'm going to thank you once again for everything you do for all of our survivors.
Thanks, Kim. Our next Life Changer Award goes to Jane Torrey. When a victim of sexual assault or domestic violence makes the decision to come into Haven for help, it's a momentous act of courage. As a front desk volunteer, Jane Torrey is often the very first person that they see. Jane understands this and greets them and everyone who comes into Haven with grace and empathy. She's the first person to tell them, "I'm glad you came in today. Let me get an advocate who can help you." She helps ground the panic people may be feeling when she offers a warm cup of tea or a glass of water. Jane talks to the people who accompany the survivors to the Haven office so that the survivor can meet with an advocate and spend that time together to work on next steps. She answers the phone with professionalism and good humor. While all of this is going on, she can be found assembling piles of fundraising and outreach packets, laminating materials for the educators, or separating thousands of Haven pens into sets of 20 to be distributed to local businesses. Jane's in attendance at every single Haven event, and I miss you here tonight. Jane donates her time, talents, and money to the mission of Haven and makes the story of the starfish in life practice with her approach to volunteering. She says, "I cannot do everything for everyone all of the time, but I can do something for someone right now." We are so thankful to Jane for being an everyday life changer, and we are so grateful for her choice to give her volunteer time and resources to Haven.
How and why? How, I met one of your employees at actually at a play here, and she told me all about it, and I said great, and I called, and next thing you know, I was sitting at the front desk. I have been a front desk volunteer, which means as people come through that door, whoever sits there is the face of Haven and gets to meet all these different people and help them out and makes them feel comfortable. Well, I feel like that all the time. When you come in there, you're always embraced and welcomed, and you feel like you belong. So I'm not sure there's one time that's any stronger than another. I just feel that all the time in there. I would tell them what I told someone. I said, let me give you a card, let me give you a number, and let me tell you, these people care and they'll help you. Just give them a call or come. That's what I would tell them. My advice to community members who would like to change the violence in our country would be a simple thing. Model kindness and model peaceful solutions to problems. It's just not that hard, people. If you're thinking of making a difference by doing something for Haven, like donating or volunteering, just do it. My name is Jane Torrey, and I'm a member of a life-changing team.
Just do it. I love it. Jane, you are not only a member of our life-changing Haven team, but I think you're in the running for MVP. Congratulations again on this well-deserved recognition, and thank you again for all that you do.
We have one more life changer this evening that we'd like to discuss. Detective Rochelle Jones. She has a goal. She will unabashedly tell you that she would like to be the change that she'd like to see in the world. Rochelle has dedicated so much of herself and her career to community outreach. However, what makes her a life changer is her ability to truly see people. Rochelle meets survivors' trauma with empathy and kindness. She eases their struggles. But what makes her exceptional is her ability to see a person's humanity and respond with her own. Rochelle has furthered her reach during COVID-19 by using her first responders stipend to donate to nonprofit organizations that are close to her heart. We thank you for including Haven, and we are grateful for all you do for our community. You are truly a life changer.
First, it started out when it was sexual assault support services, and so when I was patrol officer, we were taught by Haven or SAS at the time, like at the police academy, and really it was just about using SAS for advocates. So if you had an investigation of a sexual assault or domestic violence, like that's who you called for the victim. And then it just blossomed, I guess. My career kind of changed where I went into community outreach, but also doing things like if we have bullying events, education really. Like I said, working at the school, it's kind of blossomed into, I teach self-defense for young women students, and also I teach a course on dating violence, which kind of segues into domestic violence, and it's really just become, and it always has been, a community issue. Everybody's affected by it, and it's, again, like it's community, it's on and off duty, it's everybody's responsibility. And then during COVID, there's just so many concerns because now people are inside all the time, and in my heart, I had a lot of fears. I work a lot with seniors, and the domestic violence with seniors is also something not to forget about. And we were worried about kids, and just we don't have the people that are interacting with our kids, and people going to work, where if something was happening or somebody was being abused, that they have those opportunities to tell people. Those were taken away during COVID, and that was really scary. And one of the things that happened, was the governor or the state of New Hampshire gave us what was called the CARES Act to first responders. And so I was going to receive this money that, aside from our stimulus. And to me, I had a job, my life definitely changed somewhat, but I wasn't stuck at home. I wasn't in any of those situations, and I could definitely use the money. We could all use money, but I could get by. And I just thought that I definitely, one of the first thoughts was to donate some of that money to Haven, and it was $200. I took $200 from the $2,400 to 12 different organizations. Some of that came from people telling me, I took advice from people. I didn't want to just put things to what I thought was important. I wanted to involve the community in that, and I also was hoping, that was going to be something that inspired other people to do the same. Being a life changer to me just means, inspiring somebody, giving somebody hope, especially when they have none. especially throughout my career. There's people in situations that I could never fathom or imagine. And just being like a beacon of light. I think about a beacon of light in somebody's darkness, you know. I think that's what being a life changer means. You know, and it just, again, like helping somebody that can't help themselves. If you have the ability to help somebody, then you have the responsibility to do that for them. Just take the time and just put yourself out there and just help somebody. Just being patient with people, remembering not to judge people, and that not everybody is on your timeline. We have a tendency that when we want to help people, that we want to hurry up and come up with a solution to the problem, and you can't do that. You have to meet people where they're at. Also, shame. I think shame and judging are huge right now. There's a lot of victim shaming, victim blaming. There's a stigma around the word victim. I meet victims all the time. It's just a word for when you're not a suspect or the bad person, and they're strong and they survive. And you know, there's a great quote by Anais Nin, and she says, shame is the lie that someone has told you about yourself. And that's true. And I feel sometimes we're just not good at advocating for ourselves. That's the hardest thing to do, is to be an advocate for yourself. So I always tell people, think about what you would tell your best friend to do. You know, treat yourself like you would your best friend. Would you let your best friend be treated that way? What advice would you give to your best friend? Treat yourself like that and believe that you're worth it.
This video just touched the surface of all that Rochelle does in our community. Thank you so very much, Rochelle.
You know, it's really unfortunate that we have to do this virtually, because I think that anybody that was, you know, at the event would really love to talk to any one of those life changers and get a sense of who those people are, because they truly are amazing people doing amazing work in our community. Before we finish up, we have a couple of door prizes to award. Anyone that participated in our auction was eligible to win a $50 Visa gift card. The winner of that prize is Caitlin Delaney. I don't think she knows that yet. She may. She may be just finding out right now if she's watching. Anybody registered for this event was eligible for a $100 Amazon gift card. That prize winner is Sarah Hannanen. So congratulations to the winners. Again, thank you all for joining us and hearing about how Haven has adapted during these trying times. You've also heard the powerful voice of a brave survivor that shows the strength and resiliency so many men and women have after healing with the help of Haven's navigation. And finally, the life changers, people in our community who showed us that we all play a role in working to end violence and change lives every day. It's a very important time to give to Haven. Be a life changer. Join Leadership Giving with a gift of $1,000 and be a part of our Courage Circle. Or give a gift of $50 to help keep our hotline available 24/7 and staffed with trained advocates. Each gift carries tremendous value because it's significant to you, the gift giver, and it's invaluable to our clients. Thank you again for spending your evening with us tonight, and I'm going to turn it back over to Kim for some final words.
We'd love to really just thank our sponsors and thank our events committee for helping us put this together. Again, it's been a virtual event. We've all done the best that we can with it, and we are so thankful for your support. We truly could not have done this without you. I just got word that we are more than halfway to our goal. We're over $27,000 raised. So I know that all of you watching want to help us gain more and make our goal. So I would like to give you the ability to do that. There's a few ways in which you can give. You can text Haven NH to 4-4321. This will send you a link for you to complete your donation. You can donate on our webpage, havennewhampshire.org. You can outbid your friends on the auction and spend a ton of money to get your favorite item on the auction block. You can also look at the auction site to help fund some programming that we have. The auction site's going to be open until 8 o'clock tonight. Bid away, donate away. Thank you all very much for joining us.
It's a new day, it's a new life for me. Yeah, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me.